Okay, business, what is the scoreboard for business? If you're successful in business, what do you see happen? How do you know if a business has been successful? What's that? Sales growth, so revenue, right? These little babies. Who would like this? You right here in the white. Come on. You have to earn it though. Business is, you got to earn, right? Now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to hold this up and you're going to put your hand. That's a sales guy. That's a sales guy. Back, right. Come on. That was good. You know what? I was sitting over there and I said, someone's going to do that because they think they're cool.
You gave me the opportunity.
Not cool.
I took advantage of the opportunity.
Okay, so I'm going to explain the rules now before I let go of it this time.
Keep my hand in the pocket.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up, and you get to put your fingers right there, that big, about an inch apart, and then I'm going to drop this, and if you catch it, it's yours. Okay. That's all you got to do. Okay, here we go. And the most important thing is you pay attention.
I still caught it.
Got to catch it with your fingers. I'll give you another chance.
Okay.
You can't move your hand up and down.
Okay.
You just got to be ready to go at any time because you never know if it's going to drop.
You're pretty good.
You know what? I'm going to give him a third chance. What do you think? Third chance? Okay. What was your name again?
Daniel.
Dan. I'm sorry. Okay. You know what? I do this with my kids all the time. They hate me every time I do it. Because I'm a benevolent soul, you're going to get one more chance. Okay. Move your hand up just a little bit. Darn it. I've never seen anybody miss it that many times. One more time. I'm going to give you one more time. Get your hands. And the other thing is, if you grab the $20 bill before I drop it, then you lose it too. Okay. In fact, you want me to move them up or down a little bit? Just keep it. That's probably the only time you'll have failed in business and made money. So, anyway, guys, great to be here. I'm an alumni of BYU. I graduated back a long time ago. In fact, if you think about this, my first year at BYU was a very important year in the tech industry. The IBM PC shipped. Scary. A dual floppy PC, no hard drive, with 140K of RAM. Yes. It was awesome. Anyway, that kind of dates me a little bit, but it was kind of a new time and an exciting time for business. And then when my first job was, I got involved with a company called Novell. And anybody know what Novell was really famous for? What did they do? They networked all these dumb little PCs together so people could share data and printers. And it just went crazy. And so if you think about it, really what you have to do in business is find a why. Okay, I'm going to put this up here. Where are the things at, Dr. Lowe? There we go. And I never like to use red when I'm talking about business because that's bad. Okay, so if you think about it, why is a very important question in business. Why? Who would like to start a business here? Okay? Why? What do you want to do?
Specifically, what do I want to do?
Yeah, what do you want to do? Have you thought about it?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to do?
I want to start my own supplement business.
Own supplement business. Why?
Because I want to help people with my supplement.
Okay. And why do people care?
Because they have a pain and a problem.
They have a pain and a problem. What's the pain and the problem?
Specifically, what we're working on right now is crashes that people get from NP supplements.
Okay, so try and help them not do this thing and then go down. It's more of a even keel type of thing.
Yeah.
So you think people will be willing to pay a lot of money to solve that problem?
Yes.
Okay, that's exactly what you got to think about. The first thing you got to think about is the why of business. If you go in and do this and you think about this little thing right here, well, I usually get a little cranky about stuff like that. You know what I usually do when I find a marker like that?
Yeah, throw it away.
Here's what I do is I look at it and I go just like this. And it usually goes in the trash. Okay. So, so there's the two things. There's the why of business and then the how. So the next question is if you have, who's got another idea? Somebody had a why. Who else was interested in starting a business and a why? Okay, so tell me real quick your why. What's your pain point? What are you going to solve? What's the problem you're going to solve? You're going to solve them? Good luck with that one. Okay, so nice. Hope there's no small people. Anyway, go ahead. So
basically, it's because I'm always short and I can never reach things that are high enough, and I have to go through and get a stool and put the things down that I want. I just want something I can just step on it, pop it up, not put anything down, and just get what I want.
okay, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Have you thought about that much? Or you've been focusing mostly on the why? Because the why is the first thing, right? You never want to go to the how first.
Yeah, so it's just a telescoping stool that doesn't require the use of your hands.
How are you going to sell it?
Through Home Depot or Homes.
How are you going to get them to sell it?
They're going to have to want it. Like, either it solves the problem or it doesn't. Like,
But how are you going to get them to sell it? They got 30 people are going to walk in there the same day you and say, I got this cool widget. Why are they going to want to sell yours versus somebody else's?
hopefully it solves their pain, right?
It solves Home Depot's pain?
No, hopefully it solves the pain enough that even the people you're talking to, they're like, oh, this would beat out our normal steps.
Okay, so you solved the consumer's pain. Now you're dealing, who's another one of your customers? Who's the next customer? You say you got an end user customer. Who's the other customer you got to deal with? You just name their name. Yeah, Home Depot, the guy that's going to sell your stuff. What's in it for them? Okay? You're going to help them make money. Are you sure that's the most important thing to them? Okay. Okay. So yes, that's it. So one thing I'll tell you right now is when you get to the why and the how, one of the things you need to realize, if you want someone to sell your idea, you've got to get them, you have to understand their business so well that when you pitch your idea, they go, that's going to solve one of the problems we have as a company. I'll give you an example. At Altiris, we had relationships with Dell and HP. They sold our products for us. Dell and HP, each of them would sell about $90 million a year of our software. And when we walked in there, we'd go talk to Michael Dell and we'd say, Michael, just want you to know, we made you $90 million this year in software. What do you think he told us? That's what he told us. I don't care. I have $50 billion in revenue. Could somebody do the math real quick on that and tell me why he didn't care? It's a rounding error. 90 million was a rounding error. And so for Dell, they didn't care that we made them $90 million. So we scratched our head and we said, wait a second. So we went back to the drawing board because we thought if we could get Michael Dell to understand how we were helping his business, he would be a lot more interested in what we were doing. So we went back and we kind of crunched the numbers and we said, you know what? Every time they sell X number of dollars of our stuff, it influences X number of dollars of their stuff. And we calculated that year when we sold 90 million in software, 2.5 billion influenced hardware sales. We trotted back to Mr. Dell and Mr. Kevin Rollins at the time, who was the president of Dell, and we said, hey, remember that $90 million? Yeah. Let us tell you a number you may be interested in. $2.5 billion in sales that influenced, or $2.5 million of hardware sales influenced by that 90 million. And they just went, are you serious? We go, yeah, let us show you. And we showed them the numbers and they go, okay, you got our attention now. And all of a sudden we went from being a tactical component of their business to a strategic part of their business. So what do you think our question was to Michael Dell every quarter we met with him? What would you think? What would be a question you would ask him? If you're trying to become strategic, you're influencing what he's doing in his business, what would be a great question to ask him every quarter? Yes?
What problems do you have?
Bam! What's the next big thing for Dell? What is your top priority you're pushing inside of Dell? Where'd it go, dude? Everybody else is like, I don't know. I would probably just cry in front of Michael Dell. Great. He's not that scary of a dude, by the way. He's kind of like, hey, how's it going? Anyway, that's what we did. We would say, tell us what the next big thing is. We just helped you sell $2.5 billion worth of stuff. What else can we help you sell a lot of? And he'd say, our next big initiative, we sold a lot of desktops and a lot of laptops. We want to get in the server market. So we said, okay. So we would go, actually, what we'd do is we'd go develop a plan, and we'd walk right into the product managers of Dell and say, what's Mr. Dell told you to do? Oh, we got to sell a bunch of servers. We already knew that because we already talked to the man. So we'd go in there and we'd say, okay, guys, you guys sell a lot of servers? Let's show you a really cool plan that we have that's going to make you a hero in front of Michael Dell. They're going, I'm all ears. Tell me what I can do, because I don't have a clue. And we'd go in and pitch a plan of how we were going to help that little product manager down there that's making 65 grand a year, 75, whatever. He could be a hero and make a lot of money, and he could move his career along. You start doing that inside of a business, and you understand the business, that's when some pretty cool things can happen. And then we just kept growing and growing and growing our relationship. And you know why Symantec wanted to buy us? We had some cool technology, but you know the main reason? What do you think it was? Our relationship with Dell. They thought if they could get that relationship that we had with them, they had all these other widgets that they could sell right into that same channel. And they didn't have a very good relationship with them. That was worth $1 billion. Anybody interested in that? That's pretty cool. $1 billion. How many of you have ever touched $1 billion? I have. It's pretty cool. Okay, so it's kind of, when you deal in those kind of numbers, it's kind of dumb because you go, you know, $1 million is like pocket change. It's kind of weird. But so it's just kind of a fun thing to be involved with. But you know, funner than that was just watching and being part of an organization that just grew like crazy. Okay. Now let me tell you another example. So we worked with Hewlett-Packard too. So we worked with two companies that just hated each other. That was a tricky thing in and of itself. But I remember in the early days, we were trying to figure out how we could get inside of it was actually Compaq. Anybody remember Compaq Computer Corporation? That's who we started working with. We had some relationships there. And I remember getting a call from their guy one day, and he said, hey, could you meet us at PC Expo in New York in 2 days? I go, sure. He says, I've seen your stuff, and I really like it, and I want to talk to you about it. So we go out there, just me. I fly in there. I show him the stuff, and he goes, I want that on every computer we sell. I went, really? He goes, yeah. I go, well, what's that worth to? And he says, a lot. I said, okay, so we got in a room, we negotiated a deal, and every Compaq computer that shipped had our stuff on it. And that gave us an opportunity to upsell these customers. Well, the thing that was interesting is we got in there and started working with them, and they said, we are not able to sell our product. Everybody, how many of you love the little PC that you're on? You got it all set up, and you just got all your favorites, and you got Facebook set up, and you got all the GUI stuff that you put on there. How many of you would take that machine that you have today that's just perfect the way you like it, it's like an old slipper, and say, there's a new one, and I know I'm going to lose all this stuff, and I'm just going to move over to that new one. How many would you be interested in doing that? If you got a really nice machine, maybe. How many would you rather have that same machine, the way it looks, feels, operates, on the new one? More people, right? That was their problem. Nobody would go to their new platforms because they loved their old machine and the way it worked. It was like the old slipper deal. And their bedroom slipper, they go, I don't want to get rid of those, and it fits my foot and everything else. So they said, that's our problem. We are having a hard time moving new computers. Well, we came up with an idea called PC Transplant. I love that name. I actually came up with the name. And we said, if we could transplant this old machine onto the new machine, I wonder if those guys would be interested in it. We showed it to these guys, and they almost passed out. They're like going, you mean you can take all the settings from this machine and move everything, the settings and the data to this new machine, and when they turn it on, it looks exactly like that one? We said, yeah. And they just couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. We sold millions of dollars of that software to those guys, through those guys. And then Dell eventually did it too. because it did what? What did it solve? A major pain point for Compaq. And it wasn't, they weren't looking to just sell more software to make money, right? They wanted to sell what? More PCs, more hardware, because that was, what was that to them? That was their core what? It's their core business, their core competency. And we found out that when we discovered what our partner's main objective was, we could tailor our message right to what that main objective was. So when you went in there, you didn't have to mess around trying to figure out, hey, if you go in and just pitch technology for technology's sake, you'll run into a brick wall. But if you walk in there and you say, hey, we know you're trying to do this. We think we can help you sell a lot more of this stuff. By the way, we'll make some money on the way, but we want you to be able to sell a lot more of what you do. They're all over it. Okay? So there's an idea of why, what are we going to do to fix the problem, and then it's how are we going to do it? How are we going to go in there and get them to be excited about what we're doing? And once you figure that out, your stuff will fly off the shelf. Now, the problem is there's 30 other people that want to do the same thing. So then you got to find unique ways, relationships, and things that you can get in front of these guys and just absolutely make a difference in the space. But once you do that, you're going to find that your company will become worth a lot of money. Why is a partnership like that or a channel like that so important to your business? Why do you think that's important? Thoughts? Any ideas? Yeah.
Or else you're selling everything by yourself.
And what's so bad about that?
It's hard.
It's hard, and what else? It's expensive, right? What was interesting, we had about 10 guys working with Dell. They had 3,000 sales reps selling our stuff. We had 10 guys training those guys to sell our stuff. It's called this right here. Learn this word and you will be really successful. It's called leverage. Find a way that you can leverage someone else's abilities, and you can even leverage their balance sheet. What do you think the balance sheet of Dell and HP and those guys, what do you think that looks like? It's huge. They've got resources you can't even dream of. And you and your little startup company, you probably got a nickel and a popsicle stick maybe, if you're lucky. And that's all you have. And you got to find a way to make it happen. And so if you can leverage their expertise, their channels, their sales guys, their balance sheet, you're going to be a lot better off. But again, you have to find out what's important to them, why would they do this, and then you figure out how to do it. We put a guy in Dell. We had him there 1 year. We were paying this guy $200,000 a year. We had him in there 1 year before we saw a dime of revenue come out of there. But we felt like if we could crack that nut, we would make a lot of money. Okay, so that's a really important angle. The first business I started was Key Labs, and it was a software testing company. And it was interesting how I got in there. I was working at Novell, and Ray Norda, who was the founder of Novell, left and started. He had a bunch of money from Novell, and he was investing in companies. And he called me one day, and I hope one day you get this phone call. He called me and said, "Hey, Newman, you want to start a company?" I go, "Yeah, I'll give you some money." "Well, what company?" He says, "I don't care, but I'll give you some money." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't care?" "I just don't care. I want you to come out and start a company. We'll come up with an idea, and you can go start a company, or you can come up with an idea, and I'll give you some money." I go, "How much?" "What do you need?" I said, "Well, I don't know yet." And he said, "Well, I got a couple $1 million I can float to you." Okay. A couple of days later, and $2.5 million later, on a handshake, we started Key Labs. And we were in the business of helping companies test their software. Now, was that just an idea that we came up with? I was a testing guy at Novell, so where do you think the idea came from? Experience, right? We were at Novell, and we had all kinds of people that wanted to test their stuff against Novell's products. And we had this big lab at Novell called the Super Lab. We had over 1,000 computers in there. And people would come in, and the only way you could use that lab is if you were testing on Novell products. Only way you could use it. So what's the business opportunity? If all you can do in that big lab is test your stuff on Novell stuff, what's the business opportunity? Say it again.
Microsoft.
Yeah. So there's other platforms out there, and nobody can test them in that big testing field. It was the only one of its kind. So what's a business opportunity? What is it? Make another lab that tests just on Novell, on everybody's stuff. And that's what we did. And we cranked that thing up and got it going. And this was right as the internet thing was taking off. So 1996, it was just really starting to crank. And we'd been in the business a couple of years, and we had a company that wanted to come in and buy us. They offered us $19 million. And we went into Ray. We were giddy. We're like, well, we've been running this thing for 2 years, and somebody wants to pay us $19 million for this thing. We go into Ray Nord, and he goes, no, we're not selling. I'm like, we're going, you serious? Because that's not enough. And I go, dude, you got $1 billion. We have zero. This is a good deal. He goes, no, we're going to wait. Okay, great. 2 weeks later, a company shows up. They offer us $27 million. We're like going, Ray, we got an offer for 27. He says, not enough. We're like going, listen, old man, you're becoming senile, and we're not liking this at all. Because we'd go and start calculating our calculator, and he'd look at us and he'd go, what are you guys doing? We're trying to figure out how much money we're going to make on this deal. And he goes, it's not enough. You're serious? 2 weeks later, $42 million offer. He took that one. And then the company that bought us used their stock. It doubled by the time we got the transaction done. It was an $80 million deal. We had $7 million in revenue. Ray was willing to give us all the money we wanted after that. On $2.5 million, he probably made $60 million. And then he put $9 million into Altiris, and I think we made him $180 million on that $9 million investment. One lesson I learned, if you make somebody else money, they'll give you all the money you ever want. And that's pretty fun. And that's what Ray taught me. He says, in fact, he told me this. He was a big entrepreneur, but he would always just say, don't use your own money. Use somebody else's and give them a great return. Now, you do that, you give up some of your equity. But for me, I didn't really care. I'd rather go in and build a company out and find some ways to generate a return for the investors. So there's a lot of examples like that I've been involved with. But I guess the one thing that I would tell you guys is the most important thing you can do in your career if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to start your own business, or even if you're involved in another business, is you got to spend a lot of time on this question right here. Why is somebody going to care about what I'm doing? I can't tell you the number of companies I've run into, and you ask them about this. Have you thought about why anybody would want this thing that you just built? And sometimes they'll look cross-eyed at you like, what do you mean? Of course they'll like it. But have you really thought through it and come up with the plan of why somebody would, how painful is it? How can you find out how painful a point is that you're trying to monetize against? How can you find out how painful it is?
Well, you have to test it.
Okay, how are you going to test it?
Well, you pivot. So first you do different surveys. You test out, see, okay, I guess you have the group that you want to test, and you ask them.
Okay, so who's the group that you're going to go test?
Well, that depends on what kind of market you're looking at.
Okay, let's say you decided there's a pain point in a particular space. Who's the first person you want to talk to?
The people with that concern.
That's right. I mean, it's the person, if it's something in healthcare, you want to go into a healthcare organization and talk to the person that is experiencing the pain in their job, right? Or a consumer, the short person that wants, go find 30 short people and say, hey, would you use this? And then they go, is this a short joke? And if that's the case, you may need to pivot a little bit. But that's exactly right. You need to go validate this with the people. Don't go validate with your grandma unless she's the target market, or your rich uncle, or a friend. Because they're going to look at you and go, dumbest idea I've ever heard, but since they're my friend, I'm going to tell them it's cool. And then you're going to go down the primrose path and you're going to lose a lot of money and time. Okay? So you got to validate that. Yep. See?
Can we have Seth switch out your microphone?
Yep. Is it kind of cutting out a little bit? Sorry. All right, Seth, here we go. Yep, no worries. See if we can break that one. Pay point right there. Oops.
How's that one?
That better? I don't know if the batteries were dead in that one. Okay, so again, the thing that, and sometimes you'll drop into deals and you'll get it. And I look at what we did at Key Labs, even Altiris. There were some times that we were just dang lucky, that some things lined up, and then we got really smart about how we would do things. And that's what you're going to have to do. As you go through your business, you've got to always have your eyes open, your head up, and looking at every opportunity that comes along, because you're going to learn a lot from your partners and your customers. Because you're going to come in there with your first thing, and they're going to go, this is pretty cool, but what is going to be the next thing? Because if you spin on just one thing for a long period of time, you're not going to be able to scale your business, because it will change 10 times before you really hit the goal that you're going after. I asked Ray Norton, I says, how do you determine where you put your money? What do you think he told me? How do you determine where you're going to invest $1 million? If you were an investor, if you had $1 million, hard-earned money, and you're going to place a bet, where are you going to place it?
I think two criteria are how risky is it and how if it'll grow the most that it can.
Okay, risky and grow the most. Okay, other ideas? Yep.
The people that you're investing.
Okay, the people.
What if the people know what they're talking about, if they're going into business doing something now or you know?
Okay, so the people again, if they really understand what's going on. Others? Yep.
I want to put it into a business that I understand.
Okay, something that maybe as an investor I got a clue of how it works, so I can help maybe. Yeah.
Track record of previous return.
Track record, like the team that you're talking about? Yeah. He told me that. He just says, I bet on the team. Now, he says, I always look at where they're going and the things that they're doing, but it's all about the team. And I asked him, why is that? And he says, the business will change 5 times before they get it right. And if they don't know how to react to that business change, they're sunk. And I've seen that over and over and over again. You'll get guys that are really good at one thing, and they'll get in, they'll get going, and something will change on them. A competitor will come up that they're not aware of, and all of a sudden, they don't know what to do. Give you a good example. At HP, they're doing $90 million a year with us. They call us one day. This mic's going out too. I don't know if maybe it's my phone interfering with it, maybe? I'll put this over here. Anyway, they call us one day. We're a public company now. When you're a public company, you're under the bright light. They're checking, everybody's watching to see what your company's doing. In case something happens, they can react to it and sell or buy more of your shares. So we get a call from our partner, HP. And the night before they announce this, they call us and say, we are buying your biggest competitor. We're announcing it in the morning. And so we're going, okay, the Wall Street's going to just freak out on this. And we lost 30% of our stock value in 24 hours. What would you do? Fall down and cry. What did you say? Short the stock? Well, if you're inside the company, you can't do that. You can, but you'll be wearing an orange jumpsuit with soap on a rope. Okay. Go ahead. Any other ideas? What do you do? You're going to be faced with this. I guarantee you that somebody in this room is going to have one of their biggest partners do something that will really put you in a bad spot. And don't think it's not going to happen, because it's going to happen to somebody in here. So here's your opportunity to learn.
What if you come out and you acknowledge it or even announce that that is what's happening? That you be the first one to it. Just let everybody know what's going on and how you're going to pivot and improve your product to make it even better.
Good.
So that way you stand out.
Okay, good. So you can react positively to it. Oh, the fact that they're buying those guys, that validates our space. Even though they're a great partner, we've talked to HP, business as usual with us. They're going to ramp these guys up. But for the foreseeable future, we see this as an okay thing. And you can talk to so-and-so at HP, and they'll tell you the same thing. You can say that. Hopefully it's true. You don't want to light a streak, because they will pummel you. Any other ideas? What else can you do? Yeah.
Contact HP's competitor and offer or propose transaction.
So you can say, okay, we're going to go pummel these guys. Yeah, we're going to go a little down and dirty with HP. Okay. Great. You know what we did? We just absolutely said, fine, we are going to engage even tighter with HP. And we're going to go in and make our stuff even easier to sell and even more effective on the HP platform. And that's exactly what we did. 1 year, almost to the day, HP closed down that other business. And away we went with it. It was awesome. It was so good. I mean, we looked at that and we go, how many people would have just curled up in a ball and started bawling? A lot of people would have just given up. Oh, we're hosed. There's nothing we can do. But we decided to engage even deeper with that customer. We flew our executives there. We were meeting with them all the time. And that turned that whole transaction around. And after a short period of time, and you know where we won? We won the battle in the trenches against those guys. Because the sales guys at HP, they loved us. Because you know what we helped them do? What did we help the HP sales guys do? Sell more, and then what happened to their wallet? Got bigger and bigger and bigger. When you're making the sales guys money, nothing will come between you and them. You know how you tell a really good sales guy? Is there somebody here that says, I'm a great sales guy? Anybody here? You look like a sales guy. Stand up here. I'm going to show you how you tell a great sales guy. Turn around, right here so everybody can see. You feel right here. If there's a coin slot, he is your man. There's a coin slot there. Awesome. Okay, there you go. Sales guys are coin operated, and you find somebody that loves to sell and they love to make money, you're going to have a great salesperson on your hands. Anyway, seriously, when people come and interview for me, I says, can you just stand real sec? I just kind of look at them, they go, what are you doing? I go, just check the coin slot there. And they're like, really? I go, yeah. Was there one? Maybe. See how that goes with them. Anyway, so that is, if you can plug into the sales force in one of the partner company, and those guys love what you're doing because you're making them money, you're gonna be plugged in there for a long, long time. We had people inside of HP, other partners would come to HP and say, hey, we want to engage your field sales organization. HP would tell them, call Altiris, we don't know. Call those guys. We don't know how to engage with our field sales guys, but those guys do. They would call us. What would we tell them? That's proprietary information, my friend. We can't share that with you. Because that was very valuable, and that was our secret sauce with those guys. Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I just took a new job. Anybody heard of a company called Vivint around here? Now, you look at me and you go, he's not a Vivint guy. He doesn't have a flat hat. He's not muscly, and he's got gray hair. How can he? I feel really awkward when I walk in there, by the way. Everybody's like 25, and I'm like 50, and they look at me like, what's the old guy doing here? It's called adult supervision. Anyway, anybody work for Vivint? Awesome. Still working with them?
Yep.
I just joined the Vivint Solar group.
All right.
It's the top. It's just killer. It's a great job. Anyway, I'm doing business development there. So if you've watched Vivint, they've got this really cool idea. Todd Peterson's a pretty smart guy, and he's a pretty cool guy. In fact, he's the top. I saw the Business Q magazine. He's like the coolest entrepreneur in Utah. He is pretty cool. I got to give him that. Anyway, they have this logo that is this, right? What's right here? A dot. What's that mean? Anybody know?
Simple.
Simple?
They can do it all.
What do you mean?
Like it's like a complete sentence, like they're a package deal.
Boom, end of sentence. You know what it really means? Home automation. Cellular, wireless. They've got a platform to build a mega company over there. It's pretty dang cool. So the whole thing is, just like on the internet where you can have extensions to your www.vivint.solar, .wireless, whatever it is, and they're just going to build out these different organizations to drive revenue. And they use the model, the Vivint model of, as Greg Butterfield calls them, the guys that knock on the doors. And they're really, really effective at what they do, and there's nobody out there that has anything like it. And these young folks go out and they make a lot of money, and they're really, really good. In fact, I was in the cafeteria the other day, and some guy walks up to me, this young guy, he's got his hat on. He walks up and he comes up and he goes, "Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time." I'm like going, who in the heck is this? And I'm carrying on a conversation for like 5 minutes, and I still don't know who this guy is. "Hey, how's your wife doing?" And da-da-da. I'm like going, dude, I don't know you. It was my nephew. A little embarrassing. Because I go, it finally just dawned on me who it was. And I'm going, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "Hey, I started working for Vivint last year, and it's been just a life-changing experience." I'm like going, "Are you serious? A life-changing?" He says, "Yeah, this has really saved my life." I'm like, man, they got to put this guy on a poster somewhere. Anyway, he told me his whole story and how he got involved and how he's just I'm doing it. But anyway, my partner, Greg Butterfield, who I've worked with for years and years and years, they recruited him to become the CEO of Vivint Solar. And he called me and asked me to come over and help him on this homicide. But cool model. I'll just tell you about it. Because Dr. Little wanted to know a little bit more about it too. And it's really kind of an interesting model. So think about this. You knock on somebody's door and you go, "Hey, have you ever thought about having solar power on your roof?" It's like, no. Just kind of like security, right? Most people aren't just, "Oh, I've been waiting for you to come." You know? Not again. So they go in and they talk about renewable energy, and what's the most important thing to people? What really gets the heart and mind of somebody that you're selling to? What's the first thing they want to know? Are you going to save me some money, right? So if you put those solar panels on my roof, what's it going to do for me? Well, it's going to reduce your power bill probably by like 20 to 30%. Interested? Yeah. How much does it cost? How much will it cost you, Nick, for us to put a solar array on someone's house? Any idea what that costs?
The customer? My understanding is it doesn't cost them.
Big fat zero. Cost Vivint about 25 grand to put that up there. So how in the world do you make that work?
Because then the customer pays Vivint for their electricity. So
Where do you get 25 grand
where do you get 25
to
grand?
put it up there in the first place?
Well, they, investors or whatever.
Okay, yeah, you basically got the fundamental idea right there. Is they went out and they got really creative. And really, if you think about it, Vivint Solar is a financing company, and Vivint Security to a certain degree too. Because when you go in and sell Vivint Security, you say, "Hey, I'm going to put this thing in here for you today, right now, zero price to put this in here. Now, you have to pay me a little fee going forward, right? That's the sales pitch. Same thing with solar, but it's a little bit bigger number. So what they came up with is they said, okay, the government provides an investment tax credit of 30% of whatever you spend on a solar array on your home. You get that in a one-to-one tax credit. If you got a $3,000 bill and you get a $3,000 tax credit, you got a $3,000 tax bill, offsets 100%, you don't have to pay any tax. Not a bad deal. So there's a lot of investors that have this huge tax burden. They put the money in with us, and we do some kind of creative financing stuff, all legal, of course. And it allows us to take that money and put solar power on people's homes, and then we return a percentage of that to investors. But then over the long haul, at a certain point, all of the revenue that comes off that roof, $20, $30, $50, $60, $80, $100 a month, whatever, how much power they use, that comes to us. And it's kind of like a subscription software deal over a long period of time, 20 years. They buy all the solar power from us. And over 20 years, after a certain period of time, that all comes to us. Now you think about it. We installed a lot of homes last year. And we're going to install a lot more this year. And eventually you get this run rate of all this recurring revenue coming back into Vivint, and it becomes a very, very big number. And that's why this whole solar model is kind of crazy, but it's pretty exciting to be involved with. And these guys go out and knock on the door, they sell a lot of it, and they make a lot of money. But there they saw a need. There's some really interesting economics around it. And so they dove in, found out, figured a way where the pain was. And the pain was, for the consumer, what was the pain? Yeah, I would love to put solar. It's renewable, it's green. But the pain was, it's too expensive. And now I can do it at zero cost. And I pay a power bill right now, right? You pay a power bill. You may not know it because you're a student, but you do. Where you own a home, you're going to pay a power bill. Would you rather pay 20% more or 20% less? 20% less, of course, you know that. And so that's what is in it for that consumer. I put it on there for free. I get a 20% discount to what I'm paying on the grid. And what's really cool is you put a meter on your house. It's called a net meter. And when you generate more solar than you do grid power, you use more solar power than you do grid. No, when you produce more solar power than you use grid, it actually runs your meter backwards. And you get a credit for all the power that you put onto the grid. And then in the night, when you start using grid power, it runs your meter back forward, and you get all the credit for the solar that you generated onto the grid. Pretty dang cool. But they figured out all these little things to how to make that work, and now they got this business that's just going bonkers. And it's really kind of fun to be part of it. Well, we're out of time. Remember, what's the first question you're going to ask? Why? And then you're going to get into how you're going to do it. And then find a way, whoever you're selling to, find a way, especially partners, what's in it for them, the old whiff 'em strategy. And enjoy that $20. Do you have a girlfriend? Go find one, okay? All right. Hey, thanks. It's really nice to meet you guys.